Nads has got a dentist appointment. She'll be joining us in a second. She's going to have more teeth out. I don't think she's got any of her own teeth anymore. All those gnashes you see that look so beautiful, they're all fake. Did you know that? They're all made of ivory, aren't they?
What?
None of your teeth are real. She's getting
I'm
more.
afraid they are, and they need fillings.
She's getting more replaced today.
Morning,
How are we all, everyone? How are we all? Good afternoon from sunny Perth, Western Australia. What time is it, Mask Kid, in Perth, Australia? What time is it now? Is it? Oh, guess what? Here in the UK, days start getting longer again, as of tomorrow.
Really?
Yes, today is the shortest day of the year in terms of daylight, obviously. Just when we've got so much to do. Yes, I like nighttime though. I like nighttime. The idea that we're passing back into the slow emergence of spring. It's kind of a weird moment to be thinking about that, isn't it? Spring is emerging. Spring and summer is already emerging, yet we haven't got to the coldest part of winter. What is the coldest part of winter? You know, when you look at like a gardener's diary, they often say that October and November are in autumn. Okay, tell me what you think autumn months are, guys. I always get this wrong. I always consider autumn to be...
September and October, November, isn't it?
Yeah, I was surprised that it reaches to November.
Yeah. Because November's always fucking freezing.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody.
Yeah.
How are you?
March, April, May is spring, and winter is December, January, February.
Yeah.
Hannah Jones, Mark, can we please have the Cornwall vlogs at Christmas as our Christmas gift? It's funny you should say that. Because what did you go to bed saying last night?
I said I think we ought to release a Cornwall film for Christmas Day.
That's very sweet. Very
As a Christmas
sweet.
present.
I've just got to have a chat with the Cornish Kings. They're a small jazz band. We are in summer Australia, Mask Kid. Have you seen a film called Baby Teeth? It's my favourite Australian film in the last 2 years. That and the Ned Kelly Gang, two tip-top, brilliant films. Both with the actress, I think Essie Thomas. Is that her name, Essie Thomas? Fabulous. Do you remember the mum in Baby Teeth? She's such a fabulous actress.
So good, that film.
We need some Cornwall right now, Alison Bayliss. Right, when we were doing, I don't know if you saw the memes section of the, there was a really sweet moment between me and Maddie during her funny bits, where she showed me a tranquil moment where someone was filming in the Highlands of Scotland and there was a deer, a beautiful stag, just next to the camera.
Yeah.
And she showed me it, and she said, "Oh, Dad, I thought I'd show you this because you always talk about how beautiful Scotland is." And I said, "That's exactly my experience of Scotland, was looking up and a stag staring at me like that." She said she wants to go, desperately wants to go. And I'm desperate to get Nads up to the Highlands. And I mean the Highlands, you know. And Maddie said she wants to go. And that's kind of unusual. Why I'm saying that is it's kind of unusual for a young, quite plugged in, quite hip, kind of, you know, young adult to want to escape. And that nature-nurture thing is just so sweet.
That's her essence.
That's her
She's a
essence.
nature bitch.
Basically, Maddie shouldn't really be wanting to be a singer. She should be a botanist. She should sort of play with worms. That's it. She used to come in. She used to find snails at school, and she would protect them for hours on end. Emma Atkins, hi. When are you doing the taste test of the Marks and Spencer's parsnips, Nadia? Nadia. Emma Atkins, I think I may be wrong, but we may have already had them. Monsieur Begum, cheer me up. I feel said, "Oh, sweetheart, don't fall down." Look, you only have to watch our Vlogmas and see me in a wig, looking like a glam rocker. And theoretically, that could cheer you up. It could horrify you, like it horrified Maddie and Kiki. They came running upstairs and they were like, "What the hell's going on?" But Vlogmas is there. Essie Davis, that's right, Essie Davis. Thank you, Ellery Jones. Essie Davis, she is a remarkable actress. I've got a little bit of a crush on her too. She reminds me a bit of Nadia. Emma Atkins, I'm holding your comment there because I'm gonna ask when Nadia comes out of the loo. She's a bit nervous, I think, about having her teeth drilled. She's got terrible wind today. If you listen in the background. Did you hear that? Nads,
Yeah.
those parsnips we had yesterday, Emma Atkins is asking, when are you doing the taste test of the Marks and Spencer? Were they the Marks and Spencer's parsnips?
Yeah.
Did you like them?
Horrible.
I loved them.
I didn't like them.
Nadia didn't like them. I loved them. I loved them. You've got sort of red stuff on your face there, baby. You seem a little bit perturbed. Are you all right? Are you
I've
struggling?
just got really uncomfortable stomach. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I can tell. You seem uncomfortable in yourself.
Yeah, I've just got bloating. It's really
Can
uncomfortable.
I just say you don't really look like you?
How are we all? How is everybody?
Well, Emma Atkins wants to know about the M&S parsnips. You think it's an
I
absolute...
didn't like them.
I love them, and I'm a big parsnips
I
fan.
didn't like them at all.
So what are you going to do there,
I
Emma?
really like, and this is, you might laugh at this, I really like Aunt Bessie frozen parsnips. And tomorrow we're going to be filming a full Christmas dinner for Vlogmas, so that you can cook along, so you can cook to my timings. And I'm going to be using Aunt Bessie parsnips.
Oh, Beryl McNally has corrected me. Sorry, it was on Sky News. They were saying it was the shortest day. Isn't that weird? That means Sky News have got it wrong. Shortest day. I always thought it was the 21st of December, to be honest. Is it winter solstice maybe today? I don't know.
Miss P, what's special about the M&S ones? Well, they've got a mustard and honey coating.
Yeah, I must admit, the ones you normally get, what are the ones you normally get? Or do you just normally do normal parsnips?
Well, if you want to just do your own parsnips, you just slice up parsnips and then, in the last 5 minutes, you drizzle them with maple syrup. You don't need to spend extra money on them.
Yeah, but the ones that you normally do, I mean, I
Aunt
liked
Bessie.
the ones last night. Aunt Bessie, they're great.
Because they've got a like crunch thing on
They're
them.
very sweet. They're
They're
very sweet.
not. They haven't got any sugar on them.
No,
Or
I know,
honey.
but they're just naturally sweet. It's a
Or maybe
sweet
they have got
vegetable.
honey.
It's a sweet...
I love parsnips anyway.
Buscopan, Alison Baylor says, Nadia, for bloating.
Thank you. Alison
So we
Bailey.
have lots on this week. Look, we even have a list of things that we've got to do this week. Nanny Di's coming. We're going to a garden centre for Vlogmas. You're going to see the Christmas lights in central London for Vlogmas. You're going to see the end result
Were they good from Aldi, Becca?
of the cupboard fiasco. There was one point yesterday where I really lost my shit in the Vlogmas. Now, I went upstairs
Vlogmas
to
was
bed
funny.
last
Well
night.
done, Wayne. Wayne's just passed his driving
Oh, well
test.
done,
Woohoo!
Wayne. Beep, beep. When I went upstairs last night, Nadia was in bed cackling with laughter.
Oh my God, it was
Cackling
embarrassing
with
because I was
laughter.
laughing at us.
Yeah.
I was watching last night's vlog.
And you hadn't even got to the bit where I put on the long blonde wig.
It was my mum going,
mum
"You're as
was
daft as a
hysterical.
fucking brush.
Yeah, your
You're
mum.
daft. Oh God, she's ridiculous. Can't get Mark to do it." It
Yeah.
was so funny.
Yeah, no, it's very, very funny. And the Sunday show, now guys, the Sunday show had a technical glitch in the middle of the newspaper section, and I enacted a trim last night, so hopefully it will be gone for any epileptic sensitive individuals. Thank you, whoever pointed it out to us, but I have gone in there and trimmed it. So if you get a jump cut in the middle of one of the stories, that's why. But I have to say, it was a really nice Sunday show. The food was, yet again, Nadia she bloody knocks it out the ballpark on the food front.
With what?
I've forgotten what you made. Chicken Kiev. Chicken Kiev. The double dippage.
Oh my God, they were so good.
I cannot tell you.
They were so good.
I always
those
thought chicken Kievs.
We were really annoyed that we didn't film the eating of them.
Yeah,
because
really
they were
annoyed.
So good.
But chicken Kievs, when I go into a shop, are one of those food producers where you just sort of think, you don't even think about the complexity of making them. You just think that maybe chickens walk around with sacks of garlic in them. I didn't realise that chlorinated chicken, the reason they're chlorinated...
Chicken Kevin, Miss P calls them. I love a chicken Kevin.
Oh, chicken Kevin. I'm
I
going to call
like
them that.
that.
Let's call them chicken Kevs. Chicken Kevs. I didn't realise that chlorinated chicken, which is a big thing about American chicken, the chlorine is only there to wash them because of the conditions that they're in.
Of course.
I thought the chlorine was in their food stream
Oh
and
no,
all
it's
that.
disgusting because they've been kept up to their knees in shit, the poor things.
Oh, look at Erin. You always film the cooking perfectly, Mark. Could be on the... Well, look,
You could put that on telly. It's the same camera that you use
it's the
for telly.
same quality, but also I have to confess, I mean, one of the things that makes Nadia brilliant in the kitchen is her instinctive, fast-moving da-da-da-da. She doesn't like pausing for the camera, but that presents real challenges because most food cookery, if you look at Nigella, her food is only that beautiful. And when we filmed with Nigel, it was only that beautiful because they are the kind of chefs that are going to go slowly and languorously, and they love doing it like that. Nadia is like literally like that, and you're sort of preempting where she's going to go all the time. So it's kind of difficult, but the food is always tasty. So is anyone going to try making those chicken Kievs? Because they were bloody good.
They really were.
Bloody good. And that...
Oh no, but the pudding. That pudding. is a very special crumble. Wow, it's delicious.
That crumble.
I sent some round to my mum and dad, and they haven't stopped talking about it.
That crumble was a little bit like loose granules of gold, wasn't it?
Pine nuts.
It was something else.
You could do that for Christmas.
I can't do garlic, dear heart. My nan couldn't do garlic.
Well, you know what? You can just do a herby butter, do everything, but don't put the garlic in it. Deconstructed apple crumble. It was so good, Nicole Marcello. You have to do it. So good.
Monsieur Begum is feeling very down and asked us to cheer her up. And look, she's put all these...
Monsieur Begum,
Send her a
of
big
course,
kiss.
sending a big kiss. I'm sorry you're feeling down.
Yeah.
It is a really shit time of year, isn't it? In lots of ways.
It really is. And also, so getting to the news, I mean, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. We all just have to accept...
Yes, I have got Amiro Wave, Lee Haggerston.
We have to just accept, a micro wave, yes. We just have to accept things are going to get worse before they get better. And I think if we say that with a smile on our face and a bit of kind of a cocky tail, we won't be dragged down to a place of deep depression. Because the fact of the matter is the numbers are going up. Toffee keeps looking at us and saying...
Why don't they stop it?
Surely,
Should you
Mark.
push this forward a bit?
Surely, Mark, the numbers are going to go up if they loosen things for Christmas. She says it like that, a bit like Pat Butcher.
She knows it.
Toffee knows
Hi,
it.
FIFA Darren boy. He's asking for a call
Hi,
back.
FIFA
Hasn't
boy
been here
Darren.
much. Hi,
Hello.
FIFA.
Toffee knows it. Even Chi-Chi is aware that it's going in the wrong direction. So right to the point that they're even considering, or they're about to close schools at Greenwich in London, because it's spreading so rapidly amongst 16 to 19-year-olds. So, of course, as tiers come up on Wednesday, I think we kind of have to accept the fact that we are probably going to be going into tier 3 in London. Do you think?
I think. I don't see how not, and I think it would be wrong if we didn't, because it's not fair. We've got higher numbers than other areas
I agree.
in T3, so it's not fair. If I was out of London, I'd be furious.
Yeah. What? Simply because they should be in
Well, because
the
you're
same...
either going by numbers
exactly.
and that's dictating what's making the decisions, or you're not. You can't say, well, not these numbers in London, because actually it's a different case in London. You're going to... I mean, they've got so... The general public have so little faith and trust in the government at the moment that to do something like that will just only exacerbate the problem. Don't you think?
I agree.
I mean, got to show some consistency. I mean, I don't know who the chap was on this morning on Sky, a minister, but he was saying absolutely is not going to change the visits for Christmas. Set in stone.
They're going to keep it open for 5 days.
What they said for Christmas is going to happen.
But that's just so ridiculously inflexible.
He said, there is enough leeway and people need to be together at Christmas and...
I mean,
the thing is, you don't have to take them up on it. That's the thing.
Here's
That's
the
what you
thing.
have to remember.
People get very animated, and I hear people, I overhear conversations, and you're on the phone to people and all this kind of stuff, and I hear people talking. I'm not talking about the disease. I'm not talking about the virus anymore. I mean, lots of people still get animated about, well, how dangerous is it? What do your T cells do? All of that stuff, the virus and the vaccine will sort itself out. It is going to be resolved. There is not only light at the end of the tunnel, there's a great big block of huge light coming right at us at the beginning of the tunnel. So I have no fear about that. What the problem we're facing at the moment is the logistics and administration going into Christmas and coming into the new year. And I just think we are being moronic that for the sake of 5 days, I think we have to take the tack and approach that Angela Merkel's taken in Germany, which is she came out really fiercely and really emotionally. And she said, look, I know you've all made your preparations. I know you've all done this. I recognise that it's really heartbreaking for all of you, but we are in a really fucking perilous situation. And if we can get over this mountain, it's not like we'd have to go through this one more time and then there'd be another and another and another. Yeah. We can get to spring.
We are seeing the end now.
Yeah.
And but she's still allowing Christmas for 3 days. Angela Merkel.
Yeah, but in the run up to that, in a much more restrictive way,
exactly.
In a much more restrictive way, reaching to January the 16th. I mean, lockdowns do not work as a solution to a virus, but they can work at minimising the impact of the virus in the run up to the vaccine coming online.
Exactly.
And that's how I now see this. I don't see lockdown as I've always thought you lock down, cases go down, you come out of lockdown, cases go up. Of course, that's going to happen all the bloody time. But people who are sort of anti-lockdown, I think there is a different compelling argument now that we have to have a slow but consistent tightening, not a slow but consistent tightening that then completely opens up for 5 days at Christmas. Otherwise, Does anyone remember what we were saying when Thanksgiving happened? Did I not say, look at what happens in America and Canada?
Yeah, we've seen it.
And it's
For
happened.
sure, it happens. Debbie Sanderson, my mum isn't coming down to see me. We made the decision on our own situations rather than the government deciding. It's made me sad, but hopefully next year will be better and I will see my mum. I think a lot of people are making those decisions.
Well,
What you've got to remember, we saw some people on the news the other day and they were saying they're having all their family around for Christmas. And they were saying, well, the interviewer was saying, well, infection rates are up and everything. And they said, oh, well, we just had a COVID test last week. I said, yeah, but you could get COVID between
tomorrow.
now and Christmas Day. Oh, we'll just keep having them.
Yeah.
It's like, so what, are you just going to have tests? You haven't got any symptoms, you're just having tests.
Yeah.
And you're just going to keep on having them from now. And it made me wonder, do they have any sort of restriction on people having tests? Because in some areas it's difficult to get tests. And imagine people haven't actually even understood how it works and are just having them willy-nilly so they're all right for Christmas. It doesn't work like that.
I saw that interview with the same family, but the way
Give
they
a
talked
test,
about it
you
was
can't
like they
go
were...
out again and to be sure that you are safe.
Yeah, that's the only way. If you have a test now, the only way you can be safe.
To be safe with your family is to not go out.
But where are they getting these willy-nilly tests
Well,
from?
I suppose they must be just be pretending they have symptoms.
Yeah.
I don't know, and saying, I don't know, can you have a test without symptoms? I think you have to have symptoms, don't you?
I think so. This is an interesting point. Jan says, Nadia, there is a petition to sign for James Martin to get a minister for hospitality. If people could look at that, that would be great.
Okay,
It's interesting. That's an intriguing thought.
Yeah, it is.
That would be sensible. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that the news flow is going to get more severe and the numbers are going to get worse.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get as certainly in London, they didn't get as good as we were hoping them to be coming out of lockdown, because I think for some reason it just turned. And so consequently, I think we just need to be forewarned is forearmed, and I think we need to accept the fact that if they are going to run with these 5 days, as we were sort of talking about in the Sunday show in the newspapers, although they're keeping the 5 days, the message is be sensible and observe as much distancing as possible.
Don't have to all go mad.
Don't all have to go mad, but I worry that yes, there's some of us who will do that, but sometimes how many people are not going to observe that at all? Do you know what I mean?
When we had my parents over on Christmas Eve,
Yeah. Nadia's just saying when we have the
when we have my parents over on Christmas Eve, these doors will be open. I mean, I will put a fire next to them. We will be cold, but to ventilate is so important. I'm glad they've brought that ad out again, where you see the virus as like this green smoke, and then you're in a house with and then they show a little old lady in the house with her son, and he opens the window and all the virus goes out. So if you haven't seen that ad, it really check out on John Campbell what he has to say about it as well. Keep the fresh air going through.
Anne Murray's saying have a cup of hot water for your tummy.
Oh, that's what I'm doing actually.
Yeah, good thinking. We aren't, Kim Lakides, we aren't having a sit-down dinner because you can't keep your distance around a table. No, you're absolutely right. I'm going to observe social distancing. Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, Dr. John Campbell said about ventilation, you're so right.
Yeah, so we'll sit right down here, put my parents on a separate table up there and the door open. And no closer than that.
What was John Campbell saying? You were sort of squealing, as me and Maddie were watching The Boys last night, you were squealing over there because you had him in your ears and you kept saying, oh, even John Campbell. What was he saying? He was outraged about the 5 days of Christmas.
Said it's madness. He said we are going to have a massive wave after that.
Massive. I think it's going to be worse than any other wave.
He said, I just can't believe it. He's just absolutely
Breathless.
perplexed as how they could do it.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
He's very, very, very excited about the vaccines, though.
Yeah, no, that is exciting.
He said the China, but he was kind of giggly. He had a kind of smile to himself. But the Chinese vaccine is an old-fashioned vaccine, dead virus, injected. It's like if people felt nervous about the DNA RNA one and they want more of an old-fashioned vaccine.
Well, that's what the Oxford one.
I think the Oxford one.
Yeah, the AstraZeneca one has dead virus. That is the.
I mean, the AstraZeneca one, the Oxford one. I've been reading up about it. I mean, the only problem with it is that they cannot understand why the smaller dose gave 90% efficacy. So it's not about is there anything wrong with it. The only delay on it is that they can't quite work out why less is more. But as we know, homeopathically, we know what that is. It triggers the immune system in a different way. They've just not had anything like that before. But it's going to happen. The Oxford one is going to come. It definitely is going to come.
Katie Johnston.
They've had to stop the Australian one.
Hello.
The Australian viewers. They've had to. John Campbell was saying yesterday they've ceased everything with the Australian vaccine. I think they'd spent about 5 million on it. And it was because they were using something from the HIV virus.
Right.
So when they were testing some of the people that were on the trial, they discovered trace HIV.
Right.
Now they said there's absolutely no way they did not have HIV, but just they said they would never be able to convince the population to take it. Yeah. So they've ceased, but they have a plant there in Australia set up to produce the AstraZeneca, the Oxford one, so they'll be using that one. But we do need all of these. We need 5, 6, 7. He said it's totally extraordinary that all the vaccines work. He said there's not even a word for this. It's like he said this virus is so vaccinatable. He said there's not even a word for it. He's so shocked. It's just unheard of that all these different vaccines would work. Don't you think that's weird?
But we don't know the extent of their efficacy over a broad period of time.
Well, no, but the flu vaccine, I don't think that's an argument, because the flu vaccine, everyone has to have it every year. If it's one that we have to have every year, then it's one we have to have every year, you know. I don't think it's...
She hath spoken and she hath led.
Sorry, I'm just getting...
There you go. What was I going to say? So schools are closing in the London Borough of Greenwich, which is the London Borough that Izzy used to go to school in. So that's kind of significant news. If any of you are panicking about homeschooling or anything like that, obviously we wrote a book about that. So we do talk in that. I noticed the only reason I'm saying this is a comment went up saying, I don't want my kids to go back to school. There are all sorts of solutions and alternatives and options. Obviously, the major dilemma for most parents is the work-school balance and how you maintain that.
Really sorry.
And that is the struggle. But if
because I absolutely think the schools should be shut. They are. If you're going to let the kids keep spreading it in the way that they said they don't spread it, but they do, and then you're going to allow the elderly to come and see them for Christmas, you've got to shut the schools. But what do you do for all those parents that have to go to work? That's the thing.
Minky Moo, I totally agree. School children should finish a week early. I agree. And I think, the point that I'm trying to make is that with just 2 weeks before Christmas, whatever compromise there is to what they're learning in those 2 weeks, either the school and yourself can go online. There are lots of online learning aids. Me and Kiki have been working through all sorts of pre-secondary and post-secondary and pre-GCSE worksheets and syllabus worksheets and all that kind of. There's so many aids and support tools out there to be able to kind of complement the fact that they're not in school for those 2 weeks. So, but of course the headache for most is how to maintain that balance between childcare, work, etc. So it's not an easy option for everyone. But for those, I suppose, again, it's a little bit like one of the things when we talk about things, and when we were talking about the book and homeschooling, we're always coming from the perspective of if you feel you have no choices and you need a solution to a very, very difficult learning situation, an educative situation for your child. It's like when I talk about alcohol and alcoholism, I'm not talking to people who can drink normally or sensibly or responsibly. I'm talking to people who can't, who are struggling. And it's the same with the homeschooling thing. We aren't advocators of homeschooling.
We're not saying, everybody has to do it.
No, we haven't written a book to say you should do it. What we have done is, this is our story.
It's another option.
There, you can have company and you can be sat alongside and hold someone's hand and go through what our story was, which is, we don't want it to be your story. And how we've gone about it isn't the way you're going to go about it. But what we are saying is that there are solutions, there are people who come out the other side of it, and there are options. And that is the point. We're not draconian suggesting this is the only way. I just think more and more people need to know there are more and more ways to do many, many things.
Look at that. My mum works in a school and we are counting down the days, praying she doesn't get COVID. We want to visit my grandparents on Christmas Day. My sister's like that. She's so nervous. She's so nervous because so many of the schools around us have already closed. And I think that must be very scary.
It's very hard if you're in a school within
and all the other
neighbourhood.
independent
Yeah, very.
What's that coffee for? I can't make it work.
Yeah, no, it is.
Somebody there, was it Tralala, was saying that her sister's kids' school doesn't close till the 23rd of December. I mean, in Perthshire, Tralala. I mean, the thing is, setting to one side the difficulties for people that are working, and of course we understand that, and that is just a bloody nightmare. This morning, it really upset me listening to them on the telly saying, you know, we have to think of children's mental health and their education. They've already lost so much of their education. I said to Mark,
Have you got one in there?
yeah, yeah. It makes you feel like, I mean, honestly, it's so
Scaremongering.
dramatic. It's so over dramatic.
Yeah.
The kids will be out of school a week later. Are you seriously telling me it's going to damage their mental health? Setting aside, of course, children that are in dangerous situation, of course. But as a lot of the teachers that we know say, we're not really supposed to be the ones that are the safety net for that. If there are children that are in danger, really, you know,
Well,
hey,
social
government,
services are
put
massively
more money
underpaid,
into
yeah.
social services. Social workers work so fucking hard for terrible money, and we need double the amount of social workers we've got. The school is picking up the, you know, the slack there, and it's not fair on the teachers because they're not trained
social
for
workers.
it. It's not fair on the other kids in the class, and it's not fair on the kids that are suffering in the class that aren't getting proper social care. So that's what they mean when they're talking about that. That's what they mean, isn't it?
Molly home and travel. So glad my granddaughter finished and not going back to school after 14 days at home, and my daughter, a teacher, also finished. Thank goodness. I think far more schools. Oh, that could be out.
Yeah, far more schools, I think, want to close down. And apparently, in Greenwich, I don't know if Mark just said this, but apparently in Greenwich, that was Public Health England told them to close down the school. I didn't realise that, whether they could almost do that round the back of the government. Who's that? Oh, it's postman. So, and then of course Sadiq Khan wants the school shut, but I don't know, I don't really understand what is going on. I really don't understand how they can argue where they can say that the figures are coming up from between 11 to 18-year-olds. That's where the exponential spread is coming from. And then at the same time, say we can't close the schools a week early. I mean, it's a week we're talking about here. And when you think about the exponential spread that could be caused by another week, it's just batshit crazy. Batshit crazy. Who agrees? Who would like them out now? School children do sweet FA in the last week of term anyway. I know, Minky Moo, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't do anything. That's why when you've got a minister sitting there saying this will impact in a very negative way on their education, it's like, are you mad? Really? 1 week? 1 week? It's.
Oh, it's crazy.
I said to Mark, well, then our children must be extremely messed up then. It's.
So that was lovely Tim, the postman. That was lovely Tim. I love Tim. So yeah, the other bit of news that I've just popped in the headlines here, we haven't done a showbiz in ages, and we will be doing a Christmas showbiz catch-up, especially when a lot of celebrities have kind of gone into hibernation, I think, understandably so, because it's a time, we've gone through a year where any... Well, yeah, as soon as they show any affluence, of course, they get shot down.
I really wish people hadn't done that. I was loving seeing Justin Bieber moan in his swimming pool and the Kardashians crying in their kitchen. And then everyone went, oh, it's disgusting, we're all suffering. No, it was really good. Seeing inside their houses. Yep. Everybody stopped them, and now they've all just gone all really like, oh, yes, we understand. Oh, it's all just gone all so bloody worthy now. I love them proper moaning.
She hath spoken and she hath left. she simply says and goes.
My stomach's so
Dear Heart, yes, The Father. That is the Anthony Hopkins film, I believe. Here's the thing. So we are doing a showbiz. We are going to be doing a showbiz because I think some celebrities are going to feel the absolute need to come out, and certainly the Kardashians show their trees, show their shiny baubles. Come and show your shiny baubles to us. Show us your shiny baubles. But unfortunately, this is quite a serious story. Of course, Shia LaBeouf is in the news at the moment.
Oh, God.
FKA Twigs, the singer, and Shia as well, the singer who often doesn't like to be likes to conceal her face and what have you. They've both been in relationships with Shia LaBeouf, and so he's basically, FKA Twigs is suing him for sexual battery and assault. This is serious because again, they met on the set of Honey Boy, which is one of our favourite films last year. principally for the performance of Noah Jupe, the boy in it, who was also in The Undoing. But this is a tragic story. This is another one of those stories that I've got a feeling is going to become a sort of...
Weinstein?
well, not it's got shades of potentially Weinstein, but it's also got huge shades of Johnny Depp, because we've got a guy here who's also, you know, publicly struggled with substance abuse. He has made a comment today, and he's talking about his culpability and responsibility in light of his 12-step recovery and what have you. And he's kind of acknowledging that he is not. You know, he's not okay, and he hasn't been okay, and his behaviour in the past hasn't been okay. So I think the reason one has to be a bit, not agnostic on the whole thing, but cautious, is because I still don't quite know to what extent any of this was a consequence of his sort of active, addictive, you know, substance abuse. Yeah, interesting discussion. Because if it's a, hang on a minute, Nat. If it's a symptom of his behaviour, you know, at what point can you not hide behind, but to explain it, however much you can explain something, and however much you can understand bad behaviour by someone, and in, you know, in recovery terms, it's really important that that happens for Shia. You've still got other people who've been adversely impacted and affected by that behaviour, and it becomes an incredibly
It's very complex.
complicated
Very complex.
topic, really.
Because if it's true what he's done, because the girls are so upset about this.
Yeah, they're
because
really
they actually
distressed.
hear it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Honey Boy is Kiki's, one of Kiki's favourite films.
No, there's no excuse at all, I suppose. No one's suggesting
No,
there's
no,
an
no,
excuse.
there's no
I'm
excuse.
just saying it becomes complicated in terms of how
Yeah.
one approaches well, no, it's not complicated how you approach the victim's party. That's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
It becomes very complicated how you deal with the perpetrator of these, at the moment, alleged, you know, infractions, if you like. So, Tim Reed, you'd understand where I'm coming from here. I mean, it's about... It throws a spotlight over the most difficult part of bad behaviour, which is if bad behaviour happens as a consequence of a condition or an illness or something like that, to what extent can you understand and yet still need to punish the behaviour? Do you know what I mean?
I
It's
know.
so hard. It's so
really
hard.
difficult. And I mean, he had the most brutal of childhoods as well, doesn't it? It always fascinates me, this, where is the person just completely culpable for what they do, and where are we still just, when should we still have sympathy for the damage that they might have, you know...
Yeah, inflicted.
Yeah, the damage they've inflicted and the damage that's been inflicted on them. It's really... It's very complicated,
And in
but for the
Sia's-
victims, of course, it's not complicated at all. They've been...
So in terms of what we know, we don't know...
It's true, horrifically
We don't know the
abused.
exact details, but we do know that there has been, you know, there's been sightings of Shia LaBeouf post-rehab being aggressive and angry in public.
Really?
With, I believe, FKA Twigs, but also with a previous girlfriend. Sia, who he was with prior to that, has come out on Twitter very publicly supporting FKA Twigs, saying, you know, he sort of essentially ensnared her in an adulterous relationship when she believed he was single.
Oh, God.
And again, so Sia's definitely referring to behaviour back in his sort of, you know, addiction days. But, you know, again, I tell you where I have a problem with all of
Punished,
this.
but also helped, says
Yeah.
Elsa Pop. Well, do you remember Robert Downey Jr.?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
my God, look
that's
at
a case
him.
in point, yeah.
He just kept on over and over, didn't he? He was found with a gun, and then he was found with bags of coke, and I mean, that was after he'd done a sentence, wasn't he? But then he eventually got on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're going to see a similar thing going on with this guy, don't
Tim
you?
Reed, who I know won't mind me, you comment a lot on here, Tim. We follow each other on Twitter as well, in the fellowship. He says there, my behaviour had a lot of consequences that I now have to live with. I mean, I think it's easy to think
Well,
that
you
if someone...
do. I mean, I wouldn't say any of them here, but but you just some of the stuff that you said when you were drunk, that's not you.
No.
That wasn't you at all. And I really believe you had the disease of addiction, that you worked very hard with that disease. But it wasn't you.
But also one of the key tenets of recovery, as you know, Tim, very well, is telling someone else privately taking responsibility and doing a fearless inventory of all the mistakes you've made, all of the kind of transgressions you've made, and all that sort of stuff. There is also, a tendency to encourage you to make amends, where making amends doesn't aggravate the original problem for other people, because you can get that situation
Sometimes
where it's
people
all,
are like, I really wish people would stop ringing me and making
absolutely.
amends.
And sometimes you've got to ask yourself, am I just trying to make amends here to make me feel better, or is this not actually going to help the other person feel better? And I think there is an important thing there. I think that the problem here is, I think with Shia, and my hesitation around his first answer was, I read his first response, which is online today, and he talks about 12-step recovery, and he talks about a time when he wasn't responsible. And I think he's trying to draw a connection between some of his behavior now, which is he's still dealing with, whilst not being, addicted to a particular substance. That becomes an incredibly difficult place, because it will sound to the victim, understandably, like a sort of excusing or apologising for just unforgivable actions.
I think he's done a really good thing in coming straight out and saying, I'm apologise on a daily basis. I have to live with the terrible things I've done. He's not one of these that's going to try and squirm his way out of it.
I agree.
And I hold a lot of story.
I agree, and I do think.
And in America, they do. The Americans really applaud that sort of.
Oh, well, it's what I've been saying. I think Johnny Depp needed to do in his case. Really, he needs to come out and sort of. If he was to publicly say, you know what, I fucking lost the plot for many years. I'm going into rehab, and he drops all the cases. I think everyone would run to him. I think everyone would certainly understand and go, all right, fucking hell, you lost your shit there.
Karen, when my brother was in rehab, the centre asked me to write a letter stating all the ways my brother's actions had hurt me. Exactly. It's very, very difficult when somebody goes. That's when I used to go into the rehab once a week with Mark, and you'd have to sit there in front of everybody and tell them.
CD, I can't equate.
It's very hard. It's really that's why I really admire people that get sober and do that. That interrogation of themselves. Like most of us couldn't do that. Wouldn't want to do that. It's very hard. It's tough.
Yeah. CD makes a really interesting point, and this is where but what you say, CD, here. What I'm not saying is that because he's an addict, we have to understand. I'm not saying that. No. But like you say, I can't equate sexual battery with addiction. Though this is where I find it really complicated and problematic. Yeah. In that I do worry, and there are cases. Why wouldn't there be cases of people hiding behind their addictions and hiding behind their recovery to kind of explain away and potentially justify just reprehensible behaviour? And that part of it I find really troublesome, because it's really hard to get around the back of that and peel away sort of, a justified punishment sort of scenario.
But do we ever discuss why, if there's ever any sexual violence to somebody, whether it's rape or whatever, do we ever go behind the scene to ask what led that person to do that? No.
We simply see we are
it's
outraged
not part
by
of the case. It's not part of the case. It's not part of the defence. And so why should addiction be?
I agree, and I agree, and I think that's what these sorts of cases throw up. They throw up real difficulties.
I mean, if somebody's been battered their whole life, has been shown pornography at a young age, and then they become a rapist at 30,
desensitised.
That's not going to play any part in their defence.
No.
And
for the victim, neither should it.
And neither should it.
No, absolutely right.
And so I think. I don't know, America is different. If it was here, it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. But in America, it might. He's admitting his, addiction.
The only way. I don't mean the only way. When you say the only way out of it, I don't mean that like how he can get out of it.
No.
But what I mean is, I think the best way forward, I would advise him. I don't know what would I do if I was Shia LaBeouf's sponsor?
Do you think he should be punished?
If I was Shia LaBeouf's sponsor, I would say to him, if what is being said here is true, you have to accept it, and you have to fall on your sword, and you have to make as much of a public apology as possible, and you have to go through all the due process that your victim alleges, and you have to go through it with grace, humility, and
go to court,
regret,
face what your punishment is,
and maybe making amends will be making amends in court and facing your sentence. You know what I mean? That's my point. I think that would be my advice to him.
Yeah.
And my advice to Johnny Depp would have been the same.
Admit it. Admit maybe that you can't be sure what you did because you were so under the influence.
Brittany Haim, we're not giving abusers advice.
We're not giving abusers advice. We're having a discussion. Of course we're not. Mark's talking from the perspective if you're in AA and you have a sponsor.
Yeah.
What Mark is saying is admit it and take the punishment.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, quite
he's
the opposite.
He's saying that he would recommend that he admits it and takes the
Responsibility
punishment
for it.
like any other punishment. But the complexities of it are there, just like if somebody's been abused as a child and then they commit an awful sex crime, and all sex crimes are dreadful and must be punished in whatever way the court says.
Absolutely.
But it does become more complicated, doesn't it, when somebody's, yeah.
And obviously,
I mean, who was it that managed to go to, oh, well, it was Weinstein immediately went to a rehab, didn't he, for sex addiction.
yeah, exactly, and that's
It
my
was
worry.
like, come on, matey.
I find it deeply disturbing and discomforting when people hide behind that.
Exactly. Pauline Mulvey, yeah, and then reflect on himself. Exactly. Because unless you have the consequences of your actions, how are you going to learn? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
doesn't matter what age you are, the rules are the same.
So finally, we're going to head off now, but finally, obviously, let's rest in peace to John le Carré, who, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, was my grandfather's favourite
Hannah.
author. Yeah, very sad.
Sorry to read that.
What's that?
That's so awful. Her mum was horrible to an alcoholic and never admitted it, categorically denied it. That is brutal on you. Brutal. I don't know if you already go, but think about looking at adult children of alcoholics, really good support group. Might be, Mark, you went very early on,
very
didn't you?
early on in my life. Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
Funding arrangement is gonna
What the
be
hell?
this time
God,
round.
however many times I turn this off,
It just
won't
goes
go
back
off.
on. I've got to go. I'm going to
Anyway,
be late.
guys, look, lots of love.
Lots of
and,
love.
Have a good day. And as I said, remembrances for John le Carré, a great crime writer, thriller writer.
Bye,
Lots of love,
guys.
guys. Bye.